7. And note that number 2, Maracuja, is 1 pound over. Featured 10th race, the 96th running of the Wood Memorial presented by Resorts World Casino. There are no changes. And race 11 will be run on the outer turf, which is good. Scratch 10, Hold the Irish, and 12, and Rule. Scratch 10 and 12. Number 1, War of Thrones, is 1 pound over. And there's a jockey change on the 4, Wicked Karma, to Louis Cardenas. Louis Cardenas rides the 4, Wicked Karma. Main track is fast, inner turf firm, outer turf good. We'll come back at 12:30 to recap the changes. Today's first race post is at 12:50. Up next, the Wood Memorial edition of Talking Horses with Andy Serling and Anthony Stabile.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Big A Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling, and a happy Wood Memorial Day to everybody.
Yes.
Wood Memorial presented by Resorts World.
Resorts World Casino, yeah. 2 years in the making. Fortunately, we had to miss the Wood Memorial last year because of COVID-19, but we are back in one of the, I think this is one of the deepest Wood Memorials we've had in a while.
I would say that this is the prep that came up the deepest.
Agreed.
Obviously, there's, Medina Spirit is out in California and Central Quality in Kentucky, but this is a relatively wide open race with starters. So looking forward to talking about the Wood and all the stakes in the card. And as always, the entire card. Best way for you to play those races, you know the drill. Head over to NYRABets.com if you're not a member of NYRA Bets. Join NYRA Bets, support the game, keep the money in racing, support racing in New York. It's all the most important thing we can all do. Play through NYRA Bets. We will match the $200 initial deposit. Use the promo code MATCH200. This is the penultimate Derby Bankroll Builder. Of course, we'll be offering one next week as well on the Arkansas Derby. Bet 50 or more to win on any horse in the Wood Memorial through the app and the app only, and you get a $20 bonus on Derby Day, win, lose, or draw. So if you're thinking of betting $25 on somebody, bet 50, you're going to get almost all of it back. So makes the right move. Also, what do we have? Cross country Big Five. The Shakertown at Keeneland. I like Imprimis and Canthaka. Is it Canthaka?
Canthaka.
I like those two. And we got the Gazelle here. I think a lot of people will be honing in on search results in that race. The Wood Memorial, of course, and then the Madison at Keeneland. Who do you like in the Madison, Anthony?
I like Kamari a lot.
Okay, I don't. I think she's a good bet against. I like the horse down the rail in that race, actually, for Mike McCarthy. And what was the last leg of that since you took it down?
The Fantasy.
He was in a big hurry. You're in a big hurry there,
Fantasy.
weren't you? The Fantasy, which will be on America's Day at the Races, by the way. And I like the outside two in there. I prefer
The filly you mentioned in the Madison is the only other filly I like.
I thought Kamari was a great bet against today, as a matter of fact. 1 to 7 today, FS2 all day long. Join the crew.
2, 4, 6, 7 for me. You asked me yesterday about the Fantasy. It was a spread race for me. 2, 4, 6, 7.
I thought the outside two, and I prefer the one that ran third the time before.
Sunpath?
As opposed to the one that ran second.
Brad Cox? Sunpath.
Yeah, the Juddmonte runner. Anyhow, all that at America's Day at the Races, FS2 all day long. The crew is here for that show. Today's first race, we'll take a look at Bastet, finishing second last time out. Over despite all odds, Bastet will be one of a number of very short-priced runners on today's card and a very likely winner. The rider change to Jose Ortiz is about as extreme as you're going to get on a horse that was foolishly ridden last time. It was a good rail, and I don't know why a horse that could have been the speed was rated in a slow pace, allowed up 74 to sort of control on the front end, and cost Bastet the race. I know she's kind of a proven loser, but I can't see a horse in this race you're supposed to take against her.
Unless one of the firsters can run. And run fairly quickly for debuting for 40,000. Yeah, I don't disagree. I can pick against her.
Well, I mean, My Delicious, not impossible. She chased last time out in that race in the fog. I thought getting back to a fast track, she was the other horse, but she's just not nearly as likely to win as Bastet.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in firsters, and I know you've got a Rob Atras outside. I know he's had a few of them run, but in general, I don't know. I know David has the second choice in the morning line, huh? First fall from a $95,000 fall running for 40. Race number 2. So, what did you do in race number 2?
I picked Empress Luciana after I crossed out the entire field.
Well, I'm going to wait for those picks. Francisco taking his first nap at Talking Horses?
Francisco, first Wood Memorial Day, man. Come on. There it
after
is.
yesterday, you really thought that he might pick his game up, but it's a disappointing start. Go ahead with Empress Luciana.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say here.
We'll find something. The fans are craving. They're dying for information. So find something.
She made up.
You didn't pick her.
She made up a bunch of. She made up a bunch of ground last time.
Suddenly you're at a loss for words?
She made up a bunch of ground last time. I almost went to Charlotte Webley.
But you didn't. So why do you like Empress Luciana?
Like I said, I don't really like anybody in this race.
She made up a bunch of ground.
She made up a bunch of ground last time. She was able to. She's shown a little life in the last 2 races. Let's put it like that.
It was a funny day, March 13th, because ultimately the rail was the place to be, but it felt like the early races, it wasn't necessarily as much in play. I don't know. I'm not sure. I picked her second. I'm not her biggest fan. She's 1 for 20. I mean, they're all obviously 1-fers in this race, but she is dramatically the worst of the 1-fers in here, and I thought as a horse that's probably going to be a short price and favored in this race, I didn't want to put her on top. I have no argument with her last race. Arguably, she was a little against the track, though with the race flow, she ran the biggest buyer figure of anybody. I'll make the case case for Anthony's horse since he wasn't really interested
Thanks.
in making it.
I didn't have a case. I crossed them all out, man.
Okay, but still, regardless. What about Charlotte Webley? The problem with her is she was with the track last time, and she just completely stopped. And it's gotten to the point with Charlotte Webley, and I understand she's loose again today, where it just doesn't seem to matter what the circumstances are. She just still loses.
At the very least, there's a little bit of a change with the blinkers coming off, and I'm not saying that's going to help her or her. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt her. It's something different, and maybe it's enough to just get her in front and keep going. I don't know. Like I said, I had a tough time with this heat.
She's a very tough horse to take because she just doesn't get it done. And there is a sort of, because it is a difficult race, and I think that there is a feeling that like, well, Charlotte Webley's loose, I can pick her, and you do these shows. As I think Anthony's pointing out, and I'm teasing him, you have to have things to say about why you make your picks in general, and you can make that case. She just doesn't win. I picked Impressed the Professor, who I'm not the biggest fan of, and Anthony's not allowed to pick a Phil Serpy-trained horse in his top 4, so he's left a major contender out of this race.
What makes this horse a major contender?
She's cutting back in distance. Her best race was going shorter.
I thought distance doesn't matter.
She's cutting back in distance. Her best race was going short. You can let me finish. Distance doesn't matter, but cutbacks do.
Okay.
I know you don't believe in this stuff. I know that you think that every horse can only go one specific distance.
No, I don't think that.
But the reality is her best race at 6 furlongs. I like cutbacks and distance. I don't like anybody in here. I know she won in a wet track, but you never know. One track at Belmont Park, what does it really mean? I thought her race 3 back against much better horses on January 17th, the last time she was on a fast track, is absolutely good enough to win this race. And the thing is, I know she's a closer in this race, and there isn't an abundance of speed, but the speed is Charlotte Webley. And it's very hard for me to make Charlotte Webley holding together. So when Charlotte Webley collapses, I think if she does, it helps the closers get into the race.
It's supposed to. It's supposed to. I wonder if that moves Mama Kin up, right? Because you figure Mama Kin, who is likely the horse that'll be directly behind Charlotte Webley, the blinkers, the fact that she'll be in closer proximity to the lead than the others, if that gives her an edge.
What about her last race?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Her last race was utterly atrocious.
Problems with the last race.
She just had a perfect trip sitting behind horses, and she didn't lift a hoof. Now, they put blinkers on, the ultimate desperate move, but the reality is that listen, I'm not going to be shocked by any horse winning this race.
Not a single one.
I'd rather take a horse that's going to be a better price. Charlotte Webley stops. Mama Kin's last race was terrible. Empress Luciano never wins. I can't pick She's an Alpha. I can't pick Magnificent Mags, who'll get overbet because Irad Ortiz is riding her. And I know Wayne Potts has been on a very good run lately, but she's a very tough horse to take. So
she's also coming out of straight 3-year-old races running against older now, and I know there are olders that are 2 lifes, but they're still older.
And the reality of Impressed the Professor is cutting her back in distance may help her. She appears to be a little bit better going shorter.
I don't disagree with that.
Fastest 2 figs she's run are going 6 furlongs. So in her case, she's actually proven that there's a very good possibility that she doesn't want more distance. Race number 3. We can start off by talking about horse race number 3 that Anthony didn't have his top 4 last time. Saved by the Bell in this one. One Whirlwind Ride.
That was some effort last time.
Well, you've got a horse 3rd today. He's way the horse to beat in here. I would have picked him on top. I have to think he's going to be favored. He was exceptional last time. He was never on the rail at any point in the race. And while they finish up in the middle of the racetrack, the winner was on the gold rail the entire time before angling out in the stretch. And this horse did all the dirty work, dueled with BC Glory Days, who stopped and was wide, and now cuts back to 6 furlongs from 7. One Whirlwind Ride, and it's not like that race came out of nowhere. Seemed to not run at all when given a poor ride, go on the slop 2 back. That race 3 back appears to be a much better indicator of this horse's ability. This horse is okay.
Yeah, if you go to if you use the barometer being the race 3 back as opposed to the race 2 back, he ran, and I think the last race justifies that because he ran as well as he did. I got him 3rd.
Why do you like Viking Zim?
I heard Fletcher could run a little bit. I like Viking Zim.
Well, we'll get to your tips in a minute.
Second time out. The short numbers, Jeremiah has good numbers, short numbers. Horses, the speed of the race. Inside, you get Jose Ortiz getting a dry ground for the first time. Chocolat came back and ran pretty well the other day. when he was second to Lobster. So
he ran 3 Beyer points worse in his subsequent start. My feeling with Viking Zim was that he ended up dueling with a Bill Mott horse that was ready to win first time out, and obviously has quite a bit of speed. Now you get Jose Ortiz, not to knock Jorge Vargas, and we hope Jorge's progressing, who rode very well here. But I got to think that Jose comes blasting out. Now, he's got to deal with One Whirlwind Ride, but he is faster than One Whirlwind Ride early, and getting in this race where he may not have as much early pressure, he's the other horse. There's a tip on Fletcher, big surprise.
Yep, little push on Fletcher.
Your tips on Fletcher are like 0 for 46.
No, they're not 0 for. No, the first 2 won, in fact. Wasp won, and
oh yeah, one, yeah. But the Fletcher, these other ones, there have been some horrendous.
There have
tips.
been some bad ones.
My favorite one is the one that they were leaving in New York to run in the Gotham.
That was
he
awful.
Ran twice and hasn't hit the board.
That was awful.
Either one of those starts.
Yeah. So I split the favorites. I split the favorites with the first. I agree. Okay. I see what you're saying because I said to myself, Viking Zim was 5-2. The first is 9-5.
If these odds hold up as they are, I would bet One Whirlwind Ride. I think One Whirlwind Ride is supposed to be even money in this race, and I think that Viking Zim is supposed to be 3-1. If One Whirlwind Ride and Viking Zim end up roughly the same price, I prefer One Whirlwind Ride. I'm surprised by this morning line. David's probably right. If he's right, and listen, you like the 1-2, so I don't think I uncovered, something that other people are going to cover. I think the 2 is a significantly more likelier winner than the 1. I was hoping there would be a big odds discrepancy. As far as great workout, a homebred for Mike Rapoli. It's a half to Sudden Supreme, who ran Buyers in the 90 and won over $800,000. A half to Mo Baby, I believe. Is it Mo Baby? I think was pretty good. So there are some decent foals from this dam. So there is a chance this horse can run. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's a great race, but I think the winner of this race is probably going to run a Beyer in the mid-70s, and we'll see if Great Workout's ready to do that first time out. I don't think this is a bad New York bred race. It's a small field, but you've got 2 horses on the inside that are probably going to run reasonably well in here. We'll see what plays out. Stakes portion of the card starts out with the Bayshore, and I'm not Drain the Clock's biggest fan. We'll show him finishing second in the Fountain of Youth, where he had all the running his own way, and I respect that Sappy Joseph and the connections are smart enough to not continue and press for the Derby and destroy his career, and they're sticking to the right races and running him in the Bayshore, and I respect that. I'm just not sure how good this horse is. He's the horse to beat it here, but if I could have made a good case for somebody else, I would have picked against this horse. I just couldn't.
I think he's the most likely winner of the weekend anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I think this horse is good. I
think
races
he hasn't run?
Well, no. I mean, I think the races he ran in the Limehouse and the Swale are good enough to beat these horses pretty handily.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think. I mean, he's going to control things on the front end.
Well, he's not. I mean, the 5 is fast, if not faster. It depends what Manny wants to do. If Manny really wants to go, Barron's pretty quick.
I think this horse is a little quicker.
You
know what? He's one sitting just off speed.
I don't.
Being inside of the other speed, I would imagine he's just going to go to the lead.
Okay. Well, based on pace figures, it's very close between these 2.
Right, but pace figures aside, if it's very close and one guy's inside the other guy and one horse is far more accomplished than the other, I would imagine that horse is going to use his best asset and go to the lead.
Why wouldn't Manny use the speed of Barron? You think
Because
Manny take him back to last?
No, I don't think he's going to take him back to last. But do you want to get into a duel with Drain the Clock?
Anthony, as you know, I don't ever believe there are duels.
Right, I understand
I'm
that.
I'm just saying that I think you looked at this race and think, Drain the Clock will be in front when he runs late.
I saw what you saw. But
Barron,
let me ask you a question. With that said, you said they don't duel. So do you think the horse who's outside is going to go when the horse on the inside is aggressive? He's not. Rod's not going to let the outside horse clear him.
If I were Manny Franco, yeah, I'd put pressure on him because I don't believe they're going to be going that fast. But I think if I'm Manny Franco, I want to be breathing down Drain the Clock's neck. I want to make it uncomfortable for him because I don't love the 5. But I like him more than you do. But I actually thought about picking him. I don't like the horses that he beat. The horse who we finished second to him last time is not much horse. Third place finisher did improve 2 Beyer points, but is basically a $40,000 claimer. I'm not convinced how good those horses were. But I'll tell you something. Based strictly on speed figures, he's basically every bit as likely to win this race as Drain the Clock. Drain the Clock got a big figures last race. Greatest Honor came back and ran poorly out of that race. I don't know if Papachu did any running whatsoever, though he drew poorly. It's not as though Drain the Clock is running such exceptionally high speed figures. I picked him too, because I couldn't make a case against him, but I'm not sure what you think is so compelling about
well,
this race.
I think that's part of his dominance in my mind. I can't. I'm not telling you. I think this was going to go on to win the Woody Stevens and the Alan Jerkins.
I get it.
But what I'm saying is, who do you want in here to match what he's done so far?
That doesn't matter to me, that stuff, because the reality is, here's a difference between you and I, for better or for worse. You believe in results. I believe in the races themselves, the performances. I don't think his performances in those races are particularly compelling.
You don't think the performance in the Swell at the Limehouse is good enough to win here?
It probably is. That's why I picked him. I don't think it's that good, though. I don't think it's I'll put it this way.
And that's to say he doesn't improve, which I think there's still
there are
room for
horses on
improvement.
today's card that would blow him off the racetrack. Prevalence would beat him. Crowded Trade would beat him. Wayburn would beat him. I even think Candyman Rocket would probably beat him.
But they're running in the Memorial. He's running in the Bayshore.
I'm saying in the scope of things, he's not very good. He looks a lot better on paper than he is. That's what I think. I wish I could have made a case. And listen, I actually like Whiskey Double a little bit and considered picking him on top. The problem as we look at his last races, he's probably going to be somewhat victimized by pace. But I'll tell you something. I'm annoyed I didn't bet him last time because he's a turn back at 5-1. This is the kind of horses I live to bet on. You look at this race at Oaklawn. You find the other horse that made a run in this race. Now, he was with the flow of the track and that outside closer's doing well, but this was not a race that fell apart. The speeds finished 4-2-3 in this race. Horses have come out of that race and run well. The second finisher plus 4 points, the third finisher plus 10 points. There's other horses that improved out of that race. There is a strong argument that he's coming out of a pretty good race. I'm sitting up here and asking myself why I didn't just pick it 4-3, because I don't love the dynamics for Whiskey Double, and last time was the time for him at 5-1 against a weaker field. But don't mistake that race and think it wasn't a legitimate race.
The only horse I think you could take against Drain the Clock in this race would be Whiskey Double.
Why not the 5?
I don't like the 5.
Really?
No.
Can I bet you the 5 beats the 1? We're at like 67 at least, right? I think we're 68.
I don't
So
remember.
I won that bet.
Sure,
I'll
take 5. I'll take the 5 over the 1.
Okay, you got the 1.
Yeah, obviously.
1 lunch. You might get 2.
You realize that you're
can make it
taking
2.
a horse that you picked behind the other horse.
I know, because I'm saying to myself, I like him more now.
Just wanted to.
Because you don't have him in the top 4.
Just wanted to make sure.
My love for Barrett.
Just wanted to make sure
I take him over Garoppolo for a lunch too, if you want. Why don't we do 1 lunch, 5 over 1, 5 over 2?
No, I'm good.
So 1 lunch.
You know,
Okay. 1. Let's check it. Race number 5.
Wow.
I like race number 5. Can we start out with my favorite horse? You know nobody loves OK Honey more than I do. Let's see her winning her 3rd race. Let me say something about OK Honey.
This is a nice opinion.
And I will compliment my friend Anthony. After we did Talking Horses, he didn't like this horse. I said to him when we left the show, please bet this horse. And you said, okay, and you bet him. So,
No, I didn't bet him. I used him. Somebody blew me up in the pick 5.
Yeah.
But I definitely used him. Used her, rather. Yeah, this was a nice effort.
She's a horse that has been unlucky in one race after another. And I'm glad to see Greg DePrima doing well with her.
Fellow St. John's alum. I always love to see my fellow St. John's alum do well.
Greg,
Mike
Johnny
Francesa, Johnny I, Mike Francesa.
Okay,
It's long and illustrious.
I don't like Mike Francesa.
Well,
so.
that's on you.
Well, he
man.
doesn't like me, so why would I like him? And I have no idea why. I mean, I understand why people don't like me, but he's just openly rude to me. So
I'm glad you answered that.
Right, I never have a problem with why people don't like me. I just, I had one conversation with him once, and I don't know, sort of crazy.
They had a really nice Thursday with him at Belmont once. Anyway,
Good for you.
this was a nice race.
It's one of us.
This was a good effort. Yeah, this was a good effort, and she comes back quick.
You don't
Strike
have
when the
a
iron's hot. I got a 3rd. I had a tough time with
You
this
got
race.
Days Humor over her.
I got a tough time with this race.
Days Humor is 2nd.
Yeah. I should be the worst field in the history of the world.
What planet
last time.
is she a factor in here?
I'm-
she's 15-1. Go for it.
Yeah, that's what I
So
mean.
what do you
I'm
like
just-
about Mind to Gold, who I don't really get at a short price?
Yeah, this was another race. I didn't realize Mind the Goal was that short. I probably should have checked the line. And I know she's.
It's hard to believe anybody's that short.
Yeah,
but
I think that's part of it in here, right?
I
mean, to be honest with you, if she's going to be 8-5, I mean, I don't want her to win at 8-5. I'm not betting her to win, obviously, 8-5.
I hear you.
You know?
I hear you.
But She's a super freaking
Beat Charlotte Webley.
Right, she beat Charlotte Webley, but
Stop with she's a super freak being a speed. You embarrassed yourself with her last time saying she was the speed when I told you she wasn't.
But doesn't she have speed in here to run at? Chasing Kara.
I thought Chasing Kara was the speed. I don't know. I would go with her. We'll get to why I like her in a moment.
Yeah. I just think she's supposed to get a decent enough trip.
She's an 8-5 shot.
I know. I had no idea she was that short. No idea.
I guess she's okay. Her recent form seems to be okay. I agree. I'm not.
I didn't want to hear you. I almost took OK Honey because I think OK Honey can come right back and win this race.
So do I.
With
you could have picked her.
Confidence. I thought about taking her. I just didn't want to hear the lecture about how you liked her last time.
There's no lecture. There's no lecture. I mean, I have nothing but love for OK.
I know you do. I know you do.
She's one of my pets. I look through this race and I'm looking at Saratoga Beauty, who got a perfect trip to beat a subpar field 2 back, and then a complete no-show last time. I don't want to leave out Ralph D'Alessandro horses completely because his horses he's had a tremendous
great winter. Yep.
She's a super freak, as you know. I have a life.
I saw her enough last time.
She and I have dated for many years. She just doesn't win, and she's just unreliable. And under ideal circumstances, she loses. She's unreliable. Might have Gold. I guess she can win. I didn't see what was that appealing about her. She looked like kind of a contender that doesn't run particularly good races that beat Charlotte Webley.
I thought there were 3 or 4, 5. I thought there'd be 3, 5 for 2 shots on the line, and I just took her thinking I didn't think she'd be.
I'll finish. Days Humor, who doesn't make any sense to me. Pendolino doesn't make any sense to me. OK Honey, who can win, but I had her last time, and she's going to be a shorter price today. And move on. Chasing Kara, start taking her apart. I mean, she chased 3 wide last time against a gold rail. Make Mischief, Vaquet, Laubin and a Prayer, No Mo Spending. She has spent her career running against horses that are a world better than these. Now, I get that she's a little slow on the speed figures. Now, she's way against it last time. She's also a horse that was way against track last time. I wish Irad wasn't riding her, because Irad's going to cost me 1 or 2 points. People go, oh, yep. Irad's riding for Mitch Freeman, all this nonsense. Irad's riding because Steve Rushing looked at this horse and probably thought, wow, this is a horse that can absolutely win this race. You take a look at this race. All these other horses are kind of reaching. She's dropping. She's dropping.
Well, she isn't. She's a 3-year-old running against older horses for the first time. I care.
Okay.
That's something I
Nobody
think.
saying cares, but
but
she has more upside than a bunch of proven.
She does have more.
She's running against a bunch of proven older horses that just aren't very good.
She has more upside, but like you said it yourself, you're going to lose some of her. You're going to lose a couple of points.
Okay. Yes, I said that. I don't think that's why you left her out of your top 4. Forgetting about that, I just think she has a very good chance, and she's one of the few horses in this card I'm actually looking forward to betting on.
Okay.
Race number 6, before we take a break, kicks off the Empire 6. There are quite a few horses running in the Commonwealth, particularly. Did they buy Hidden Scroll for over $500,000 to run him in a Grade 3, a competitive Grade 3, as opposed to coming here for the
We could ask Hirsch what they exactly paid for. I think it was $550.
Somewhere between 5 25, 575, somewhere,
yeah.
whatever. It doesn't matter. Or 500,000 running a Grade 3 today. Maybe, you know what's good for them? Maybe Charlotte don't show up in the Churchill Downs race. Maybe they can all run against Charlotte.
You know what I originally thought maybe he just wanted to keep things.
We definitely didn't buy him for $500,000 to win a Grade 1. Right. That I know. They didn't want to. They bought a whole horse. The last thing they probably wanted to do was win a Grade 1.
I think maybe they just wanted to keep him happy, but that was wrong because he was at Oakland. I thought maybe they had chipped him to Keeneland early.
They want to face Charlatan. Anyhow, having said that, I'm not trying to beat the favorite in this race, Mischievous Alex. He seems like he's in good form. He's working well. Was somebody scratched this race?
No. I don't know why.
Why do we have only 3 picks up, guys?
That happened.
We have a problem here? Is the 2 scratched in this race, Francisco? Didn't you pick the 2 in here?
Yes. I didn't see the 2 scratched.
I did, 4, 3, 5, 2.
Yeah, and 2, 4, 5, 3.
Yeah.
I sent in 5 picks.
Yeah, somebody messed that up. Anyway, I just think this horse is good. Found the right field to run against. I'm going to be surprised if he loses. I know he's a short price. I just think he's better than these horses.
Okay.
You obviously don't agree. What is your big...
I wanted to take a little shot with Super Stonehenge. Horse has 4 races on the dirt.
These picks are all wrong. Okay, guys, my picks in this race are 4, 3, 5, 2. I don't know what Anthony's picks are, but mine are 4.
Mine were right. 2, 4, 5, 3.
Mine 4, 3, 5, 2.
Okay.
And I'm
2, 4, 5, 3.
Maybe I screwed the email up.
So Super Stonehenge, first time on dirt, ran a 95. I know it was against Florida Breds at Gulfstream Park. Then he didn't run well against the Florida Breds. He was gelded, and when he came back, he was at Woodbine. They turfed him. He didn't run well. He ran well, and he ran well enough. And then he ran between Ryder Comet and Pink Lloyd, who is the king of Woodbine. Comes off that race. He had a nightmare trip in that Sunshine Sprint. A couple of jumps out of the gate. He got hit a little bit. He clipped heels. He took a bad stumble. He rushed 4 wide. He was chasing. He was in contention. I don't want to say he was in contention, but he ran to the 8th pole and he got tired late in the game. After everything that happened early, that was fine. Next time out, this is a horse who I don't think wants to be really involved. He was in a...
Wait a second. You start out by talking about his 95 Fig. He wired the field.
Yeah,
that
but he
day.
wired Florida bred maidens.
But the best 2 races he's ever run on the dirt.
On the dirt.
Was an action.
Okay.
So actually, the argument for him is he's best when he wants to be involved, and now he has to deal with the 5.
I think he's better when he runs his
he's not.
all-weather races and he's just off the pace. I understand what you're saying. I think he gets the best of both worlds today. I think he gets the main track, and he gets the target of Chateau.
It's fine to like him. He's not better when he rates. That's misinformation. It's fine to like him. He's not better when he rates.
I thought his race in the Kennedy Road was his best race. It might not be his best figure. I thought it was his best race. I think he gets the best of both worlds today. He gets the dirt, and he gets a target in Chateau. He's going to be a big price, too. Look, Mischievous Alex makes an awful lot of sense.
I got no problem.
I want to try this horse today at a
about this horse. I don't have a big problem.
I want
to
try this horse today at a price.
His best races are on the front end, but he has shown that he actually can sit behind horses. He is better on front. You know, I got no problem with that. He's going to be a big price. I don't think he's ridiculous. Chateau's a funny horse because Chateau's got to get 7 furlongs today. Now, in fairness, we'll look at his Tom Fool. When he won this race, track was fair. And in fact, the 2 races that he won were on fair racetracks. Not as unusual for a horse like this that shows these 2 big wins in the front end. Given the number of gold rails we've had here, this horse has actually never taken advantage of one. He's got to get 7 furlongs. He's got to do it against better horses. These horses are better than Wendell Fong and Speed Pass and the likes in that race. Having said that, this horse got very good. I absolutely applaud. See, here's the thing. Mike Dubb understands this is a race, take a shot at the great one. I know he's a gelding, whatever. You take a shot with a horse like this near because you're supposed to run. I don't know if he gets 7 furlongs. I'm sure they don't. He is in good form, though.
They give the geldings the same 170,000 of the winner's end, right?
Well, it has no value.
Right, I got you. I know. I'm breaking
which is why
chops.
when you pay $500,000 for horses in their 4-year-old career, you'd think you'd want to run as many grade 1s as possible. What do I know? I'm just some jerk up here. I think Shoplifted has a chance in here. I've always kind of liked Shoplifted. I know people are going to look, oh, you know, it's a sloppy track. So what? Where does he show he has some affinity for a sloppy track? Maybe he's just a horse that's finally getting a chance to do what he wants to do. I don't think he's impossible in here because if you think like me that Chateau may well fall apart, that kind of brings the race together a little bit. And I think Uplift is going to run well in this race.
Yeah, listen, he ran 2 good races in the Woody Stevens and in the Jerkins. Boy, I could have used him second in the Jerkins, man, behind the other Asmussen. And the return was good. Special Reserve, I want to say, is now Mike Maker. He's won 2 in a row.
He improved 2 buyer points in his next start. The 3rd horse dropped back 4 points, but I think he's okay. I mean, you and I have the same opinion.
3rd horse dropped back, but he galloped.
We'll probably get Mind Control in the winner's circle. I feel, because not one of us, it's sort of amazing that both of us left him out of our top 4. I just feel like he's seen better days.
And there's nothing, for a horse that's won multiple grade 1s, you don't want to pour on top of him because these are the kind of horses that can absolutely win at any point.
If he wins, I'm not
amazing,
looking to knock him. I feel like, you make a case that you think the 2 is kind of improving, and I think you make a fair argument. I think Shoplifted has some real upside. Mischievous Alex, obviously. I feel like the rest of them feel like they could be starting to improve. It feels like he's past his best races.
I couldn't agree more.
I could be wrong, but we'll see. That's the first 6, the late pick 5, including the Wood Memorial, after a quick break.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
I torture him even during
He doesn't
the
stop,
breaks.
man. This guy doesn't stop.
You think it's easy being me?
Oh, my Lord.
It's harder being me than it is being you. Anyway, he's Anthony Stabile. I'm not. Talking
Hello.
horses, late pick 5. You know, we're going to start out by talking about Flighty Lady. My friend Steve, who is the biggest fan of the Chad Brown horses, has been asking me about this horse Flighty Lady for like a year, as though I'm talking to Chad about his esoteric horses in his barn. And when she ran, I said, oh, good, Steve will finally get to see Flighty Lady run. And we'll take a look at a race in the Prix Vantot, which I know is one of your favorite races.
I was supposed to be there for this.
Let me just say, you can tell it's Peter Brandt because you see those Peter Brandt silks, those green silks. I love seeing the Brandt silks in races in Europe. It's just cool. And of course, the winner of this race is Magic Attitude, who was purchased after this race by Leal and won our Belmont Oaks. Didn't get a good trip when she came back in the Hillsborough. The question with her is, you know, she's run well shorter. She was third in the Prix Marcel Broussac, which is the big two-year-old race on Arc Day. I found funny stats for Chad. I didn't put these stat up, but I wanted to go through these stats a little bit. I ended up picking her on top because I'm just not sure about Windfall Profit, even though I think she's dangerous. Chad is with Euros, first time Lasix, first time in the country, foreign shippers in turf routes. At NYRA, he has an exceptional record. He's 15 for 54, 28%, 232 ROI, which is incredible, especially
seeing the ROI.
Chad Brown horses take. At Aqueduct, he's just 1 for 9 with a 36-cent ROI, 4 hitting the boar, and 4 were odds on.
Wow.
So he has not done well. Now, maybe we're ramping things up more at Aqueduct in the fall, in the spring. Now, I didn't look, are they spring, are they fall? I probably should have looked. Maybe there's some in the fall. It just seemed kind of interesting he hasn't won with him at Aqueduct. Maybe it's just a bad aberration. She's obviously a talented filly, but where's she been? I mean, Well,
yeah. Where has she been?
They didn't ship her over here to wait for the Aqueduct Championship fall. What is it, the spring championship meet?
Where has she been? And
where is she going?
Is this enough ground?
Is there a song there?
Is this enough ground? I don't know if this is enough ground. I think that's the question you could ask.
It's enough ground if she's a good horse and she's just better than them.
I think it's the question you could ask for two of the Euros in here, Flighty Lady and Lady Sansa.
Well, of course, but she's a much better horse than
she
Lady
is.
Sansa.
I understand.
Lady Sansa, I mean, you want to talk about stats. Christophe Clement,
she's
European
the queen of the north, by the way.
Shippers, first-time Lasix in turf routes. He's just 5 for 49 with a 99-cent ROI. So one thing Christophe Clement doesn't do is have him cranked up, and maybe in a lot of cases it's like this one, getting a prep for a race. I'd rather take Graham Motion, who has great stats with his foreign shippers coming here.
Kinda coolly.
Yeah, kinda coolly. But that's another horse, by the way, that looks like she probably wants to go longer, and she's not even a turf horse.
All
she's
for
a
6 on the
synthetic
turf,
horse.
and she's won all 3 of her starts on the synthetic overseas. Yeah.
And mostly these horses are not running in A tracks. This horse running group stakes.
I'll tell you, Apurate
Group 1
scares me today. Because Apurate figures to be
she's the speed.
Loosey-goosey on the front end. I've kind of had enough of Windfall Profits.
We'll get there in a minute.
And I'm just, if Flighty Lady, where has she been, needs more ground, if those questions don't get good answers, I think Apurate and Kendrick have to run of the race on the front end. And I think you're even going to get a decent enough price on her because you're going to see Graham Motion with a Euro.
I don't agree with David's line.
I do.
I
See,
don't
I
believe
do.
There's any chance that she's a similar price to 3 and 4 because I think everybody is going to see what you see. And by the way, you're not wrong. I'm not being critical. I agree with you. I think you're right, and Apurate is difficult. We'll look at Apurate finishing 4th when Windfall Profit finished 3rd. Now, Windfall Profit, and easy to see, she's a gray. She was able to stay a little bit closer here, and she definitely gets in some traffic, and it definitely hinders her. She never gets to get outside, make that clear run. This was a strange race. Apurate was forced to chase outside. She was 3 wide in the first turn, 2 wide in the second turn, and now she's supposed to be absolutely clear. Here's my problem with Apurate, and I don't disagree with your thinking. I don't think she's very good.
Okay, and I don't know.
I tried to get Shug home with that horse dream yesterday. It's just not good enough.
I don't think.
You can cancel that for a moment. Can we get back to that?
You might be right. You might be right. She might not be good enough. But forget about Wicked Amber for a minute, right? Let's forget about Wicked Amber. We've kind of established that the Euros all have a lot of questions to answer.
Well, Wicked Amber has no speed. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, what I'm saying is the Euros have a lot of questions to answer. Windfall Profit has to answer the question. She did not run down in Florida for the winter, so
we have to move on, but I don't understand what you're saying. She's the speed. I just don't think she's very good.
She might not have to be. She might just have them at her mercy on the front end.
Yeah, that's not the way turf racing works. That's just you
know.
and I have a basic difference.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I don't think she's as bad as you might think she is, and I think she has enough speed.
I didn't say she was bad.
I think she has enough speed and enough talent.
Okay, we disagree. I'm not going to be shocked if she wins.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play a pick 5 and not have her as a C. Windfall Profit, if you can throw that stat up again, I thought this was interesting. Shug, how about his 4 to 8 month layouts? And to me, that specifically almost points to Aqueduct or early Belmont. Shug does very well with these horses coming back, and she's not a bad horse. I think Windfall Profit, even though the figs are relatively close, is a much better horse. I will say one thing on Purte. The worst Toffin who beat her came back with a huge race in her next start for Brian Lynch, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I think she's the main.
Okay.
Look, if Flighty Lady shows up, from what we've seen overseas, she's going to win. If she doesn't answer those questions, I think a Purte.
Okay, no,
is the second most likely winner.
I'm not her biggest fan, but I don't think your thinking is flawed. I just don't particularly like her, but she is the main speed. We'll look at race number 8. We knew Anthony was picking it here. These Bill Mott horses start coming in, Anthony. You got those Bill Mott horses to bet on. How much? You must have made like $1 million with the meet Bill Mott had at Gulfstream.
It wasn't a bad Gulfstream meet.
You must have won.
Wasn't a terrible Gulfstream meet.
Like a Brinks truck following you around with all those races that Bill Mott was winning there. Let's start out with the horse who's probably going to win the race, Mr. Buff. And here he is holding off Limonite. Anthony's no speed in this race.
I know. Even if Backside of the Moon goes, he'll just sit right off.
I think Backside of the Moon's going to run fine in this race.
I know you do.
I actually like Backside of the Moon a little bit. I know he didn't run well last time, but I think he's going to bounce back and run okay in here. He's been around for too long and running well. You know, they went fast with Mr. Buff in this race.
They did.
And he still was able to hold on in the sloppy track, getting late. I love Mr. Buff. I think he's finally found a great stake he can win.
It would be good. It would be nice to see, and he's the horse to beat.
Figure that out.
I think they're going to put Backside of the Moon on a lead, and he's going to have to sit off them. And we'll see.
But Anthony, his best races are actually sitting off him.
As he's gotten older, his best races are sitting off him. Yeah, I mean, I took one shot against him with Modernist, who
Show him finishing second last time in Tampa.
And this is a race that Mott's run horses in the Challenger. Drosselmeyer ran in this race before at the end of the year. He won the Breeders' Cup that year. I don't know. I thought this horse got better. I've always been a fan of this horse. I think he's a horse that wants the distance. You've always been a fan of Bill Mott's. I've always been a fan of this horse too.
So therefore, what good races has he ever run?
I wanted to take one. I thought the race last time was fine. I was encouraged by his effort off the long break last time. Chasing a loose speed.
We're going to try to show it. We could have an artist recreation. That's
okay. Yeah, well, it was just Last Judgment on the front end, and this horse moved up past a couple of horses. He didn't make up a ton of ground, but he moves past horses here. I thought it was a useful return from a July layoff. Really? Yeah, I did. I thought it was a useful return. It's the fastest race on paper he's ever ran.
It is. It is the best race he's
ever ran. And now I think if anybody's going to beat Mr. Buff today, it'll be him.
I don't particularly disagree with that, and I do think he can win here. I'm basically just teasing you. I've never liked this horse. And I don't think I've been proven wrong. I've never seen this horse run a particularly good race. I mean, he walked in the front end of the Risen Star. He was the third or fourth runner in a total merry-go-round race in the Louisiana Derby. He ran 2 pathetic races in his next 2 races. I think he's better than those 2. But
he's better than the Belmont and the Peter Pan race.
To me, he's basically was an 80-ish buyer horse under the most, positive, best of circumstances. I will say, from a figure standpoint, he ran well last time. Bill Mott's horses were all running well in Florida. I'm going to be very interested to see those Florida runners that ran big races when they come to New York, if they're able to continue that form. I'm going to be very curious. Now, to be fair, Lake Avenue is kind of the only one we've seen, and Lake Avenue did continue that form. So we'll see. But his barn, they had some Gulfstream. I mean, their horses down in Florida
28%, I think.
Unbelievably, incredibly. Winning with everything.
I got to tell you, High Collar is a little interesting to me.
Based on what?
Well, the 3 races at Gulfstream just aren't very good.
Oh, he's one of these. One of those. Remember how that went when you had that Todd Fletcher horse didn't like Gulfstream the other day?
Hold on.
He's finishing. He's the 8th pole now.
But this horse has had success at Aqueduct. I thought he ran well in the Wood Memorial in his lone start going 2 turns. His problem in here is they're not going to go very fast. And he's a horse that's had a lot of help. He won when he won the Wingfield. He came up with the Gold Rail. When he won the Gotham, there was a complete collapse. They went 44 and change. I know but he's going to be a big price.
Here's the problem with the argument that he doesn't like Gulfstream. He ran the exact same, basically, speed figures in 2 of his 3 races. He's running all of his other races. So there's actually no proof whatsoever he doesn't like Gulfstream. His last race was pathetic.
Last race was terrible. And here's the one thing that bugs me about the last race is no Lasix last time, no Lasix in here today. Maybe that was the case because he broke sharp. He was closer than he had ever been.
Can we bring up the Linda Rice horse that
And
got
he
Lasix
stunk.
yesterday and still didn't run?
That horse ran. That horse ran yesterday.
That horse got a 98 buyer, that Chubb horse.
Stumbled at the start and then Chubb wagon. Stumbled at the start, made the lead, and just kept going.
She didn't stumble, sir. She broke about a step slow. She didn't stumble, sir. But she did get a 98 buyer. 90 buyer for Karamata, is that? Karamata, 90 buyer for that horse in the turf race.
Paris Lights came back light, right? 85 or something?
Well, it was a very slow race.
Yeah, it was almost 127.
I looked at High Call. I hear you. I mean, I think you want to take High Call. Lyman is dressed up by good trips. I think Backside of the Moon's going to run well in here. I'm going to root for him to bounce back. I've always been a big fan, and I think he's going to be bigger than 5-1 in here. I think Modernist is going to take more money than you do. A lot of people
I think Modernist is going to take money too.
A lot of people like Modernist.
Yeah, I think High Cow's the sleeper in there.
All right, let's go. Where are we now? Race number 9.
Gazelle.
The Gazelle. Couple of scratches. We'll take a look at search results last time. With the 1 coming out in here, there's no speed.
She's just got to go.
She's the best horse. She's a controlling speed. She beat a very good horse in her last start, her second career race, 2-month break. I mean, we'll see how good she is ultimately.
She was clearly, obviously, even money on the morning line before scratches, she's clearly the horse to beat. When the other speed, who wasn't really this confirmed trailblazer on the front end, is out, I mean, she's just supposed to go to the lead and.
She's the speed.
Yeah, I mean, she chased a pretty talented filly and a fast horse last time, who had the run of it along the inside, and she still beat her.
Is Louis okay with you picking the 5-second? I just want to make sure. Louis, are you okay with this?
Listen.
I mean, to give the guy some credit, he did pick her last time, and so he is your loyal buddy. Louis okay, right? You've taken Seth over Louis. Seth doesn't have a restaurant.
I'm hoping.
Seth doesn't have a restaurant. Louis does. I'm just pointing out. And you may not realize this. Anthony likes a restaurant.
I'm hoping.
Don't hold it against him, Louis.
I'm hoping
he still loves you.
I'm hoping the Grass is Blue runs well. I'll tell you what.
She's okay. She was compromised by a slow pace last time.
She has something the rest of them don't have. That's a 9-furlong victory. Mm-hmm. And she did it right here at
I don't like that race
Aqueduct.
as much as you do, but here's what I'm shocked by.
Against it last time?
Can I bet you a lunch the 6 beats the 2?
No.
You didn't have your man Bill Mott. See, I think Always Late is the dangerous horse in there. I'm going to take my chances that search results beat any known quantity we've seen in here. Always Late, the problem with Always Late is she'd have to improve on the dirt from her turf form. But you look at her pedigree, and there's plenty of dirt in this pedigree, though. So,
yeah, she's have to analyze the odds, right? The only other foals analyze the odds.
Wow.
Well, I was... Listen, when you first look at this race, I was confused.
You for it too.
I wouldn't say I was confused, but you look at the field. There's 2 turf horses and a polytrack horse, and you wonder. And I know that the answer is
the polytrack horses.
Yeah, but the answer is I think distance. I think the 9 furlongs. Maybe this is where you're going to try it. This is where you're going to try it.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either.
Right. I don't. You've got Maracuja third.
I want the dirt horses.
Okay. No, okay, that's fine. Okay. Well, isn't Army Wife better than her?
I think she has a little bit more upside.
Really? Why?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's never
been. Can I pay the 4 beats?
She's never been. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Sure.
4/2.
Now, I'm not gonna take an unknown. I'll take the horse on the dirt.
My man Kirk Wyckoff, they scratched Mr. Annoying today. As I said on Twitter, Mr. Annoying's on Talking Horses, but he's not running.
Why?
I think he's running. I think he's gonna. I wonder if they wanted less distance. I didn't have. Okay. No, they don't. I think they want to run on the dirt.
Okay.
I know it's a big blow. And my man Joel Rosario is on Mr. Annoying.
That's another race I have to handicap now.
I know. Me too. No, I just was looking forward to it. You know. I mean, come on. Yeah, the search results is going to be a very short price, and she's a horse I think win or lose, you got to lean on, and whether it's this pick 5, the cross country pick 5, both of them, the Empire 6, whatever it is, she'll be short. Now the Wood Memorial, and I got to say, this is one of the most competitive Wood Memorial.
No,
I will
cannot
say,
disagree.
I thought Bellamy Road's Wood Memorial was really competitive. He won by 20. Well, on paper, that was a relatively.
Sitting right outside the.
I watched it with Nick
outside the
Zito,
studio.
sitting in the boxes with Nick. We are going to start the conversation with Anthony's favorite horse and his top choice for the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
Risk taking.
Yes. 42-1.
Why don't you discuss your massive love for risk taking?
Talked to my man Chad Brown on HRRN yesterday, and there have been high hopes from day one.
I know. I watched the first race with him. It was very disappointing.
Brad Ortiz Jr. suggested after the turf race, he said, this horse galloped out past the field in the sprint. Maybe put a pair of blinkers on him and stretch him out. Well, Brad Ortiz Jr., here is your morning line favorite for the Wood Memorial. The last 3/16 of a mile in this race, I think, was his coming out party. I know he needs to get faster.
He did beat out Overtook. It's not going to carry away.
The blinkers and the distance. This horse runs like he has a big engine under the hood. And we're getting to that point now.
We're getting into
the point now.
eye test category.
We're getting to the point now where
risk taking's a big eye test.
He's got the 2 9-furlong races under his belt. I love the fact that he's been here all winter long with Dan Stoop. Chad puts a lot of faith in his team. Him and Crowded Trade have been here all winter long.
You got them all down. You're like Mr. Cliche here.
I've been a fan of this horse.
I get it. You love this horse.
I love
he's
this
the horse
horse
to beat in here. The thing with risk taking that's interesting is his PPs are not significantly different in his recent races from Greatest Honor. And Greatest Honor obviously ran poorly last week. They're running similar type figs. Now, just because, by the way, Greatest Honor ran poorly last week doesn't mean anything for this horse. I'm just pointing out they're similar going into this. The positive for Greatest risk taking is he breaks his maiden in December with an 82 buyer. Solid race. I mean, December, a 2-year-old, faster. It's a faster fig, though the Greatest Honor and what's his name?
Nona
Agenda got that race. The number should have been higher, but that's a different discussion.
79, right?
It should have been probably closer to 90. But forgetting about that, it's a good enough figure. Then he comes back almost 2 months later and he runs an 89. Now it's got 2 more months, and the reasonable hope is now he can run a figure in the mid-90s, which puts him right in the hunt for the Kentucky Derby. So I don't have any argument with it. I believe he's the horse to beat. I agree with you. I also don't know that he should be favored in this field. There's a lot of unknowns. Now, one thing you and I agree on wholeheartedly in this race, you had to have Bill Mott in there fourth, right? You had to. Was Bill going to be mad? We'll get to him, the no-chance horses in a minute. Prevalence. You and I don't like prevalence.
It's a lot to ask this horse. I think he's going to be the favorite, by the way.
He's not. I think there's a better chance he's 5-1 than he is favorite.
Want to lunch it? One lunch?
Favorite?
Yeah, I'll take. I don't even want to under any horse. Prevalence will be the favorite in the Wood Memorial.
He will not be.
Okay.
I would bet you 10 lunches on
Here he is. Second start, which was delayed due to a fever, I believe. I have a few issues with this race. Number one, the effort. I don't love the effort. Number two, 5 days earlier, he could have run him in the Gotham. I don't know how much of a difference 5 days is going to make because now he has to come back.
Down in Florida. And he's
I get that, but now he's got to come back in 23, and he winds up having to ship to New York anyway. When he misses the Fountain of Youth,
okay.
I don't know how much you can cram into that extra 5 days.
Okay.
That's my point.
My feeling is multivariate. Number one, he was very hard-ridden to win that race.
Yeah.
He beat a Dale Roman's horse that came back and might be finishing now in the Florida.
He was in for the 50 in the optional claiming part of the race.
He's not a horse,
yeah.
right? He's never running fast races. If anything, to me, he looks like a sprinter. He's coming out of Florida, which frankly has basically been, Gulfstream, the land of bad 3-year-olds. There's just a dearth of good horses down there. He ran a big figure first time. I'm not going to knock him. And I think if he has a future in greatest stakes ahead of him, it's going to be in races like the Woody Stevens, the Alan Jerkins, going shorter. I don't think these horses gets better with distance.
And there's no shame in that. They're 2 grade ones worth a lot of money. I mean, it's amazing.
You could win one of those races. It's a career-making win. I'm not saying he's going to win them, but I think if he's going to be competitive, I don't like him going long. I don't think he's good enough. I don't like his horse at all. I think you're going to be very surprised at what price he is, because I don't think there's a chance he's favored in this race. I think a much better chance he's 5-1, because I think a lot of people are going to figure out that he's just not that good, and he's not likely to get good going long. Frankly,
Want to give me another lunch bet for a little insurance? Even if he's not favored, he's closer to 2-1 than 5-1?
yes.
Okay.
I got to win exactly $9.
That's fine.
Okay. I'll do that just because I love you, even though it's a bad bet. We'll take a look at the Gotham. I'm going to tell you something.
Good horse race.
I'm not sure that these aren't the two best horses in this race.
Could be the most key allowance race that didn't fill of all time, because found out yesterday that Chad wanted to run Crowded Trade.
You didn't know that before?
I did not know that. I wanted to run them in the same allowance
places.
race.
Both Jimmy Jerkins and Chad Brown wanted to run the first two finishers in an allowance race, didn't fold. They beat Highly Motivated, who had a trip in this race.
Yep.
And obviously he can win the Bluegrass. He looks like the only horse that can beat Essential Quality. I'm not convinced that Crowded Trade's future is going to be going long. He may turn out to be Woody Stevens, Alan Jerkins type horse as well. Wayburn, I have no problem. I think he'll run all day.
Agreed.
I found the stat for Jimmy Jerkins, it's a pretty good stat. Let me tell you something. You look up stats off of wins and dirt routes for trainers, they suck for the vast majority of people. It is not easy to get horses to come back in dirt routes, to win dirt routes and come back. And you look at Wayburn, you take his PPs apart, you know, this horse ran behind Wolfie's Dynaghost, who's in the witness protection program at this point. Then he caught a sloppy track when he broke his maiden. This horse has every right to be a very good horse. He hung in gamely. You look at Crowded Trade. He didn't break. He broke better in his debut, but he didn't break. He rushed him into the game. He was wide the whole way. And in his second start,
he broke better than in his debut.
He runs a fast race. I'm going to tell you something. I believe that Crowded Trade may be the more talented of the two horses for Chad Brown in here. I think Risk Taking is more likely to be effective at 9 furlongs. He's coming to race and kind of the horse you want to come in. I don't have a problem, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to be at all surprised when either Wayburn or Crowded Trade win this race. I think they're both major players.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. They may be faster, more talented, but they have to eat up ground. We know Risk Taking can eat up the ground already. They're going to have to prove they can do that now.
Well, the pace is supposed to be relatively quick. I like Brooklyn Strong. Not because I think he's the likeliest winner. I think he's probably the third or fourth likeliest winner in this race behind the horse I have behind him. But I think he is going to be absolutely the biggest price of them. There's no question that his last race could have been a function of a sloppy track because it was so much better than his other races. There's also a very fair argument the figure should be closer to 100 than the 94 it got. Even if you don't believe that, this is a horse that's running a figure as a 2-year-old that's as fast, if not faster, than everybody in this race, going a mile and 1/8. And he beat a very good horse of Shug's that had the entire race was handed to him.
Running a race.
And here's the thing about Brooklyn Strong. He is training to win the Wood Memorial, not the Kentucky Derby.
Correct.
I don't mean this as a criticism in any way of his connections. They may say we're trying to get in the Derby. They have to be first or second in this race to get to the Derby, and they want to get there.
He's got to be cranked for this.
These works at Parks are legitimately fast works. This horse is ready for this race. And my feeling is he's going to be 6 or 8 to 1. And I'm not sure that there is a reasonable chance he's the best horse in this race, and he's cranked up to win here. So I want to take a shot with him. I don't think he's anywhere close to the likeliest winner of this race, but I think there's a good chance that he might be a horse that's supposed to be 7 to 2, that's going to be 8 to 1.
Came home in under 13 seconds as a 2-year-old.
He came and got table for 10.
He came and got him. And that's that's
10
impressive.
For 10, whatever.
10 for 10 was on the sidelines.
Table for 10's a movie, right? It's a good movie.
Table for 10's a movie. Yeah, he's on the sidelines 10 for 10. It's kind of why all the pieces got moved around for Greatest Honor.
Right, Greatest Honor was going to come here for the Withers, and this horse was going to run the race
in the Fountain of Youth. Correct.
I'm not.
He hit a couple of bumps he hit a couple of bumps in the road coming back.
Can I bet you a lunch he beats the 7?
No, because I have. You see, I think he's going to. I think Candyman Rocket's going to be 20 to 1.
Let's discuss a couple of other fringe players in here. Why would Candyman Rocket, who?
Andy, he ran too bad to believe last time.
Well, he didn't run that well when he won the Sam Davis.
But he ran fast enough in the Sam Davis in the race before that the maiden
6 furlong race.
Andy, that race last time was just too bad to be true.
You love Bill Mott. I think it's beautiful.
It's too bad to be true.
I hope Bill is here.
It's too bad to be true.
Let's see.
It's too bad. He's going to be 20 to 1.
He's better than his last race.
Yeah, it's going to be 20 to 1. I'm going to use him in tries and supers. I'm not looking to use this horse in any kind of.
Dynamic 1. Let me just mention the Todd Fletcher stat. Off a maiden win in a graded stake going a dirt route, Todd Fletcher in the last 5 years has won for 41.
Wow.
So it applies to him and untreated down at horses.
Yeah, I mean his maiden win was.
It was good. But
Yeah,
he's
it was
got to
fine.
get better to beat this.
He's got to get a lot better. He's got to get a lot better. I know there's another horse.
Are you sticking around to be here for this
race?
race?
No, I'm not staying today.
Anthony.
He's got a steady diet of distance races.
Why
you
are
see
you not
greatest
sticking
honor.
around?
Let's go. I got to go take.
Got a lot of friends here. Chad's going to be here. Bill Mott could be in town.
Louis will be here.
Louis going to be here.
I can't stay.
Are you afraid to face Louis because you didn't pick him?
Not at all. Never afraid to face Louis. See, I know Louis doesn't have a white pie with him. Otherwise, I would stick around. But
Louis, you're not bringing a white pie. What's wrong with you? Your loyal friend. Race number 11. I'm looking forward to the Wood. All kidding aside, it's been fun talking about it, and it really is.
Me too.
It really is an exciting race. I know some of the races aren't as competitive today. This race is really.
And I think we need to. I know we got Johnny I's first Wood. I mean, Brian Bold did a great job from the press team doing a little story on John for his first Wood Memorial. Well deserved.
I'm going to break and I'm going to cry.
Looking forward to it.
I disagree with David here. He thinks Michael's Bad Boys could be favored. We'll show his
No
last race.
question
Did
about
have
it.
some trouble. I think that Voliero is supposed to be favored. I guess at the end of the day, it's Irad Ortiz.
Irad Ortiz and Saffy Joseph.
Saffy Joseph
shipping
off the board here. Oh, they love Saffy Joseph. Right
you want a lunch? Can I get some lunch back here?
No, I don't. David, it's Irad Ortiz. He was definitely in traffic in this. I don't disagree. And the winner had a perfect trip, and you can see him going. This guy finds ways to lose every race he's in. He's been in maiden claiming races his whole career. Voliero is dropping down from maiden special weights.
He does find ways to lose.
I think Voliero is a much more likely.
He's trying to prove, Michael's Bad Boy's trying to prove the old theory, one way to win, 1,000 ways to lose. He's up to
yeah, he's working.
He's up to 7. So,
Is Voliero a better horse?
I'll tell you what. I feel like a chalk-eaten weasel putting these horses 1-2 for the simple fact that one horse is coming off an August layoff, the other horse is coming off a November layoff. One horse has been in for the tag and disappeared.
I'm here to help the people that want some alternative. I don't want to be too tough on riders, but the last time that 8 weeks long ran on the turf, this horse got an atrocious ride. Not a bad ride, an atrocious ride. I don't know if this horse is any good. And obviously, but you've got a horse that gets a much better rider than Eric Cancel, draws well in the rail, and other than the 7 or 8, it's very hard to like anybody. I'm not a big fan of the 8. I think the 7's the horse to beat. I don't love 8 weeks long by any stretch. 8 weeks long is going to run okay for Mark Hennigan. You're the guy who you picked every Mark Hennigan horse that ran all winter. You're in the top 4. You didn't watch his last turf race.
My biggest problem with him is the fact that
don't knock him.
I did not watch his surface, but here's what bothers me.
Don't knock him.
They ran the horse for a quarter. And this is Alan Brodsky and Mark Hennig have no problem putting horses away. They ran this horse for a quarter on the dirt.
Did they really think somebody was going to claim this horse?
And you haven't seen goofier horses than this claim this winter?
Whatever. I'm not going to get caught up in him. He's a big price.
Listen, I'm going to use him. I'm going to absolutely use him.
I don't love this horse.
You brought up good points. I'm going to use him.
You should watch this horse's last turf race. This horse got some ride that day.
Well, I'm going to use him. Yeah, he's getting, I'm not.
Believe me, he's not as likely to win a 7 or 8. But the rest of them, I'll take my chances.
Yeah, I'm going to use the 2 War Dancers from Michelle Lev in the entry.
But the one has some pedigree, War of Thrones. The 1A does not. But it's the first fall. We love those War Dancers.
Yep, yes I do.
You going to visit him in Saratoga? Have you taken
I will.
Carrot?
I absolutely will. Yes.
I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to tell you right now.
Miss
you
War
better
Dancer.
have a
Acacia Courtney will take me to go visit War Dancer.
Don't put it on Acacia.
I'm not going. We're
Acacia,
going to go to lunch on Monday or Tuesday. We're going to go see War Dancer.
Do not take him to see War Dancer.
Yeah, because Acacia's going to listen to you.
She is. She has to put up with me more.
How many lunches do you want on that?
Does she want me to torture her on TV?
Come on, man. Tell it to Sweeney.
I want 70 lunches on that, and I'll speak
to
Acacia
about it.
about
70 lunches on that, and I'm up 3.
Acacia, if you take him to see War Dancer, it's going to be trouble. Anyhow, let's head over to Naira.
She's fine. Acacia never has trouble as long as there's blood going through these veins.
It's harder being Anthony than being me, if you didn't
Some days it is.
All days. Head over to NairaBets.com. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, you really do want to keep the money in the game and play through New York. We'll match the $200 your initial deposit. Can we please get an unretired horse up in a new...
Well, risk taking up after today.
Okay, whatever. Just an unretired horse. We'll move on to the bankroll builder. $50 or more to win anybody in the woods through the app and the app only. $20 bonus for Derby Day. Free money, basically.
Goes in Thursday, April 29th, by the way, to be exact.
There you go. where are we going next? Cross country pick 5. I got to go fast because he likes to run through this one. Shakertown, Gazelle, Wood, Madison, Fantasy, all graded stakes, all the action in a short period of time. And finally, America's Day at the Races,
Boom.
1 to 7, FS2, all the races from here, Oaklawn Park as well, including the Fantasy and the Purple Martin. Johnny I, his first Wood Day. He's up for the scratches and changes.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct on this Wood Memorial Day presented by Resorts World Casino. Sun shining brightly. The main track is fast. The inner turf is firm, and the outer turf is good. In today's first race, note that number 2, Odem Golden Slippers, will wear a mask again. Second race, no changes. In the third race, a couple of